So plenty of you watched this video about how to make 300,000 credits an hour with your starter ship as a beginner. Thank you for that. And some of you had some questions, wanted a more in-depth look at the mission itself. So that's what this is. Show you how I gear up, go down, how I do the mission, how I loot, how I load everything up, as well as then going to the station, depositing everything, and how you sell it. Someone gave me the idea to maybe do this in the Aurora since I gave it such a hard time in the last video, but I think I will just do it in my trusted 100i. I think for the purposes of this mission, the Aurora doesn't have enough space for all of the extra boxes that you can end up getting in these missions. Sorry. All right, so we accepted our mission. We got our box on our ship. We're geared up. So now we're gonna head off to the mission location. We're gonna test something else while we do this. I'm going to accept call to arms. Something a lot of you pointed out was that the text on here says, "Please note, criminals encountered as part of paid contract work do not qualify for the reward." I also noticed this at the start of 3.24. I think that it is still rewarding you sometimes. Somebody brand new would have to confirm, but I do not believe that I did enough bunker missions to get enough to rep to rank up to finally see these secure confidential materials missions. The 25K one is the base one, and I am almost positive I just had that from the jump. Brand new player, starter ship, you can do this right away. And so it'll be interesting as well, because I think sometimes the loot is better on the higher tier ones. As far as the gems and stuff go, the loot is better on the higher tier ones, or you just get more of them. But we'll see what we get with the 25K. I'm glad this is the one that popped up. If you go right from our contract page over to maps, and we zoom out, and we're zoomed out, that gray is on Daymar. If we double click on Daymar, it'll zoom in probably too far. Oh, we're not actually seated in the ship yet, my bad. Before you can route yourself to a destination, you do have to be in your pilot seat. I actually still forget this pretty regularly. Engines on, thrusters on, so we can stop dancing. I'm gonna get in the air. I'm gonna go ahead and call, gateway granted. Double click on Daymar to bring us in. So it's still doing, there was a period of time. I think if you zoom out enough, so sometimes if it's on the opposite side, or it looks like if you can't see the actual name of the place, it won't give you the routing option. Once you click on it, press R or click on route, and there we have our path. Get to spooling, we look up, we got clearance. Go out a little slow, I don't trust anything. Usually I zip out, but there's a mission where there was a blockade. Just having your quantum drive spooled means that you have that part taken care of. All you have to do is point to the next spot and go. There's stack array. I mean, that's the other thing about bunker missions is that, you know, they're on a moon nearby. On the basic bunker missions on Hurston and Microtech are just on the planet, so even closer. But it's also why a basic one is just 10K. As is, oh, turrets come up on your scan now. So that'll pop. Some quick notes about bunkers. We see a Connie, I believe. There's almost always ships that will be landed at bunkers. Somebody that either died or logged off. As you can see, that turret right there, if the bunker is completely controlled by pirates, like in a destroy illicit drugs mission, that would be firing at you. And that's where the main turret is. If you see this, all the bunkers, I believe, have the same general shape. Like it has that turret, that is the front, that is the entrance of the bunker. And it has that kind of A shape, that giant circle, and then these boxes on the very back. That's the back of the bunker. So we're gonna pop our landing gear. No one's shooting at us yet. I've done this with a vulture since enemies have started appearing outside. Yeah, as you can see, there's a guy down by those cargo boxes. This is the typical spawn. The typical spawns for enemies outside bunkers. One right at the door, one over by those cargo, and then one, I don't know, on the left side. If it's a defend site mission, they're icons. They're usually mission icons that pop once you're down to a certain number. Sometimes they are in the back outside. With this being waves, they do not ever get markers in this mission. I'm going to line this up so my door faces the bunker. I'd be doing this regardless if there were enemies here or not, because wherever you're going to be loading into, it's easiest to have that facing the bunker. So I usually hit F4 and then use free look. Orbit cam is Z by default. I have it rebound to one of my side mouse buttons. And then we're going to just, and you know, depending on how many ships are here or what the outside is different. Oh, you know what? I actually forgot. I forgot. So this is where my guns are probably actually useful. I will say this thing isn't much of a isn't much for taking on ships anymore. I think you used to be able to wear them down if it was the right ship and you were prepared, knew what you're doing. As you can see, these are also the base guns now. I had them upgraded before. So F by default allows you to zoom in. I find that really useful for stuff like this. If you're outside of a station and trying to figure out which side the landing zones or doors are at. This guy's not got a helmet on a moon. Should be dead already. The reason this is dangerous is I can't tell if that was a already dead security guard or another pirate. Sometimes they spawn on each other. The reason this can be dangerous right now is if security forces have spawned in. I think that's more of an issue with defend site missions because all of the security forces during the confidential materials missions, they're usually dead already. They are dead by default. I do not believe that they are ever still alive. I have not run into that. The thing about shooting guys with chip lasers is that sometimes they're just like knocked down. They'll get back up. I just don't want anybody around later. I'm gonna leave these guys outside and get in. I would say the mission timer probably starts once it pops up that you've arrived at the destination. We don't want to lose anything valuable just because we're looting a few bodies outside. So when I land like this, I usually then go back to ship view so I can make sure I'm leveled out in the right position. I'm gonna turn my engines off, I by default. I'm gonna leave my ship on though and probably max out shields. Just cause. This isn't a bad idea. Any bunker, you never know. Somebody might show up, they might not. Since we're on a moon, there's no atmosphere outside, nothing breathable at least. And something that somebody told me, and I've never forgotten since I started, Alt X by default wipes your helmet. If you don't have a helmet, you won't do that, and you'll know that you need to put one on. All right, so we can go ahead and we'll open our door. And so for the Origin 100i, that made me look really good. Sometimes that takes a couple tries. I slide that out from there to there, make sure, since we have enemies on the outside now, make sure nobody's there. If you want to be overly secure, well, this is an interesting, why have we landed like that? If you want to be overly secure, you can close your door. The likelihood that somebody comes to this random bunker, I don't think it's very good. Because we're already on a mission here, so nobody's coming here for that reason. It is the most secure thing to do, to close up your ship, but I'm not gonna worry about it. Let's see if I can do this as smoothly. So if we wanted to loot up these guys, we could. We're gonna go in, just get this thing started. Bring in our crate, set that down there. I'm gonna put my holding R, holsters weapons, and put that away and get I did not get any attachments for this. It's also empty, so if you do buy a brand new gun, you'll have to load a magazine into it. I get my gun out before I go down because you never know what's down there. Click on sub-level 1 to send the elevator down. Now remember, I showed a clip in the last video. The back of the elevator is not covered when you are all the way down to the bunker level. So be careful of backing up off the elevator. Don't do that. There, it looks like there's some loot already. If I don't see any enemies right off the elevator and I don't hear any action, I'll take my crate off here. And I usually put it right about there. If you only have one weapon equipped, AR, I just did it. If you press 2, it'll also bring out your one main weapon. Oh my god. You should wait to reload until you're empty. That was preemptive. Well, I don't know why the heavy doesn't seem concerned about that. I usually try to use up clips, and if I have 4 or fewer bullets left in a P4 clip, I will just shoot them to get to my next clip. So those double lines mean headshot. Red means he's dead. That's a little too far. Oh, that's farther away than I would like. The unarmored enemies go down really fast. So see, here we have 3 shots. Just gonna shoot those off. You can wait, but I'd rather be prepared for the next enemy that comes around. So the tractor beam is not instantly accessible anymore. You have to wait for it to like load, kind of. That little positive music that plays. Oh no, I was gonna say it might be, might be the wave being over. It's not confirmed. So that's a heavy / semi-heavy. He's not the one with the backpack though. We do want his gun. Actually, we want the main heavy's gun, but he has a shotgun. Oh, there's somebody else. So there we can see down, we got shot, so our health has dropped a little bit. So this is why I like to reload before being in contact with enemies. You can see there we had a damage marker, but we didn't actually take any damage. I will say this is more enemies than I've had initially. So like the first like 4 or 5 guys we fought, that's what I have, because we're almost out of ammo now. So what we can do So we holstered that. Shotgun's not bad. I prefer the LMG though. All right, so if you can double click off of this and then switch the armors here for the quick loot. I still will typically Beauregard. I'll still typically go into this view because it's easier to, you would just drag and drop armor off if you wanted to take that with you, and it stacks nicely there. Checking for enemies. I'm not gonna heal yet. Since I don't really want to use the shotgun, I'm gonna drop it with X. We're gonna pick up the LMG and I'm gonna holster that. So this is, you can see his big silver backpack. That's our heavy that we want. We're gonna take him back to the entrance because the entrance is super barricaded and really safe, and that's where our crate is. So as you can see, we're not getting attacked by enemies anymore. So we're in between waves. You can see it's pretty clear. So then you can see all this stuff in his backpack. We're gonna leave that there. We're gonna put the data pad that was in his leg armor into our core armor here. We're gonna save that for a sec. Be careful where you take his backpack off because it did bump me. There is collision on gun equipped backpacks and it can like bump you into weird places. I got stuck over there once because I did that. I'm gonna take that off of here. So I looted his, so here we're in a corner, so we're in a weird spot. We gotta move the camera. This might not work actually. Opening the container from a corner is a little tricky. Oh, I thought we lost the backpack. We're gonna do it from here. This is not in cover, so you gotta be quick. So he has another LMG in his backpack. We're just gonna put that in storage. Like I said in the other video, I have put that backpack on. I believe it's because of the way the mission works and is coded. That backpack can disappear on you, so I would not use it during this mission. Putting it in the storage container, I think, switches the authorization a little bit, so then it will stay there, and then you can take it with you and use it in the future after the mission's over. We'll start using our LMG. Quick note about ammo. As you can see down there, it says 150, and there's the two little bars. Those are my magazines. If you don't have any bars there, but there is a white number down there, that's because you have some in your backpack. But there is now, if you reload from your backpack, there's an animation. It takes longer. You're like digging around. So try to keep them equipped on your actual body. And this is the way it goes sometimes. The next wave won't be super obvious, but then it almost always feels like as soon as I start looting these initial bodies, they start coming out of the woodwork. So for this heavy, actually one thing I do want to do, I'm going to take his arm and leg armor and go ahead and put that on. And then the Defiance helmet is something we want to loot. Again, if this is like an initial run, you're trying to loot it for yourself. There's somebody in the background. You're trying to loot it for yourself. You could take his body armor, etc., as well as other heavies armor. But we're gonna pick up a few helmets here and stick to that though. That's why the LMG is good. I feel like the LMG gets a nerf at some point. If you can put a sight on this and it's just kind of dummy. It's just too accurate. So here, this is why I stick to the beginning. This is a solid, you don't get too much, you'll hear people talk about getting randomly shot through things. It's because this is technically an open spot that bullets can actually travel through that. Which in other games, it would all just be solid, but you'd be able to see through it. Really need a solid barrier, but this is why I like the entrance. And it's a little cheese, but especially if you're not the best FPS player, they will pretty much continue coming to you. They can still, like you saw when I was reloading there, and they'll keep coming up. So they can still even catch you off guard here if they really collapse on you. But it is by far one of the safer spots in these bunkers. And like I said, also doing a defense site bunker before you do confidential missions gets you acquainted with the bunker layout. I would imagine if we come back to Thackeray, this is always going to be the layout. But other bunkers, this is the main part you come down, but then what you're looking out at and the side rooms are in different positions. So it's a modular layout. But once you understand which rooms are which, it's a lot harder to get caught off guard. I hadn't been timing this either, but I take my time a little bit, but you can definitely speed through these missions a little. If we come to the right here, this is an elevator. That's a place where waves will spawn. We come through here, this is storage access. I'm gonna take this guy out. This is a guard. So for Crusader, this is what the guards look like. He might potentially have a data pad on him, and he most likely has guns that we could loot off of him. But we have to access his storage in order to pull them out. And here is a general crate, a general storage loot crate. It seems looted. So that would normally have like a multi-tool or something else. You don't want to waste too much time getting this started. So I'm gonna go to inventory. I grab the data pad, put it in my hand, wait for the animation. With heavy armor, it's so thick that you'll need to be crouched in order to read this. In there, we already have money. Dolivine, Hadanite, and Aphorite in the first pad. So from there, with that still in your hand, press F for free look or interact. Type it in there, retrieve consignment, get that going. I just drop the used data pads over there as soon as I punch them in because they're just taking up space in your inventory otherwise. And mission items like that in bunkers, I believe, despawn. So less clutter for the world overall. I was just gonna say, this is another spawn point, which is right by the materials. These guys I will try to pull out really fast because the guys with capes all have P4 ARs, so they'll have ammo that you want. And also, if you kill them in the elevator, their guns will drop in there. So you have to pull them out before they close. Otherwise, you won't be able to access it. There's somebody else right there. So 6 bullets might actually take down a medium or light enemy, so I won't shoot those off. Something else I mentioned, and I'm going to talk about the last video a lot because I tried to cover a lot of things. Down here by the storage access elevator for the materials, this is pretty decent cover. These are all solid. You get a nice viewpoint right there because enemies will come from that side and from this side. And again, I like to pop out, check that elevator every once in a while because you get these elevator-like sounds, but they just happen regularly. It's because the enemies stop spawning at some point, or every time I've done this, I run into a bug where they stop. I don't know. So here, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out, Dolavine, and put that over here for now. If it was, and I'll show you, when we get something we don't want, I just throw it on this side. Anything we do want, I'll put on this side and eventually start to take up. But we wanna make sure we don't have any enemies in the way. We're gonna go ahead, especially when things seem calm, shift click transfers stuff over. If I'm looting like an initial run and really just in general small stuff, I go into the big inventory. I just shift click anything, any kind of ammo in the leg armor, etc. Like here, I'll just take all of this. Like maybe I need those green med pens are good if you lose mobility in a limb. It's one of the, besides health, it's one of the few things that I will just take along with me into missions. Those green helmets aren't worth that much, so you don't want to take those. These guys' helmets, the Morning Star, I believe, is worth about 1,000. You can take those if you're really trying to earn money. But in the confidential materials mission, there's going to be so many guns floating around that you're probably not going to loot that many helmets. So I would go guns first, and then if you see some helmets like that or any of the heavy Crusader helmets, you can take those too, because the Crusader helmets are good money, over 1,000. So there's probably something already up. If I have some downtime, besides looting guys, you want to make sure that you have ammo here because you will burn it. You'll go through it fighting the waves. So you want to make sure you grab that important stuff first. But then I'll start piling guns. And then if it's a body I know I've cleared, sometimes I'll just get it out of my way so I don't accidentally go back to it, waste any time. So this is Hadanite. I love that we got one of each on this. This is already profitable. It's crazy. We haven't even started the other data pads yet. So it's a little quiet. These green guys also typically have P4 ammo. So again, something you want to take. The guards that are on the floor in this mission, you can't move them. And when I'm looting something, I always like to have a gun on me in case. That sound right there. And there we go. Data pad. And then you'll want to grab his P4. This is a G2 helmet. It's worth maybe 1,000, but I won't grab those. But the guard bodies on the floor, you have to drag their gun off of them. And I never healed from before, but you have to see, like there, I lost all those bodies because I was healing. And I'm almost out of LMG ammo. So what I'm gonna do real quick is hit I for inventory, start equipping. Let's see, now I'm double clicking. Oh, there it is. Oh, so when you're floating over ammo right there, you can see the ammo that you have equipped. But when you double click, it won't automatically update. But you do want to make sure you have it equipped to your body armor. So it was unfortunate we didn't get those guys out of the elevator, but it's more important that you live. And we have quite a bit of ammo now, but you really want to keep grabbing it because getting caught without ammo is going to be a big problem. And if at any point you don't want to go out into an open area, kind of like that is right now, just use your tractor beam, bring those guys to you. Oh, that's interesting. He didn't have anything on it. What are you talking about? He's got the ammo right there. So shift clicking from here is finicky. It doesn't always work. So that's a big reason I still go into the main inventory. It's also just easier to get a big picture there. Okay, so finally here is Agricium. We don't want that. We're gonna put that over there. And any box that looks like that, we don't want. All of the gems come in these boxes. However, so do quartz and laranite. So you want to double check what you have. Look at the pop-up when you tractor to be sure. So we got his data pad, but at this point I'll start going around as we get through a wave or so. Sometimes there's people back here, but again, remember that's a spawn point for pirates. Careful having your back to it. This guy, he has some FS9 ammo for us. Let that load in. There's another data pad. This is a helmet I would take. And then we also want to take his gun off of him. And then that'll neatly stack right there on his body. Do helmet first and then gun, and the gun always spawns on that box. It's a little more convenient. If you can always look down here to see if anybody spawned down below. I think sometimes when things are quiet, that's somebody's hanging around in another area. Oh, here's another guard. I'll check him real quick. He's got more. These guards, again, have more. That's another data pad. Oh, no. We'll take his helmet and his gun off of there. It looks like some of the data pads I looted have disappeared. We might be taking... This is why you don't want to take too long. Okay, no, they're there. They're there. You can't... They look like... There was just one. That kind of scared me, so we're gonna go get this consignment locker finished. So we get... So here we get the animation. Yeah, so there I'm rustling through for some ammo. As you can see, not ideal. We're gonna switch to the P4AR after we get through this. But so this is how we know we're most of the way through, and we're getting shot from over there too. We have heavy, so there you can see I have a tier 3 injury on my arm, which isn't great. But once you start seeing these heavy enemies, that means you're in the later waves. So here's our Aphorite. I'm gonna take that. Oh man, he landed right on our gems. We're gonna move this stuff up over here. Usually, there's another one already. They'll keep coming, and multiple heavies at once is actually gets pretty intense. So they're making noises when they die, but they aren't talkative anymore. These guys will have a mix of LMGs and shotguns. Wow, shift click worked there. I should move my shotgun ammo over to him. That sounded like it might have actually been a spawn. Don't forget to heal. Okay, so that. Oh, so there's another glitch. Sometimes I think it specifically happens with med pens, where you'll try to switch back to a weapon. Sometimes it can happen with the tractor beam as well, or make sure it switches over. So here's this gray box is our confidential material. That is the mission right there. We could leave right now and go complete the mission. Check for another wave real quick. Pop out a little bit because sometimes they've spawned, but they're around those corners. Back to inventory. Grab a data pad. So now we've moved on to data pads that are from those guards. Hadanite, Agricium, Aphorite, Gold. This is sick. What was the number? I was so excited I didn't even look. 4224. And this is another reason this is pretty wild, is that when I did the starter level of this, tier 1 of this mission, the 25k version, I never saw Hadanite. I got Hadanite randomly, probably on like a defense site bunker mission. And then also when I finally got to the 40k tier 2 version of this, started to see it there. So this is already a juicer. I do not believe guns despawn in this, but the bodies will, like I have mentioned before. Anything that any like ammo, other stuff, you want to loot that off of bodies as soon as possible. So here, that's a mistake. I should have switched to my gun before looting this body. It's just safe practice. And there we could, again, these heavies, those heavy helmets, about 1,000. This, I'd focus on the guns first, because just look how many guns they are. If you take the helmet off of the enemy, it will not despawn, so you don't have to worry about that. One reason I'll take ammo off is, so here's a pistol, some other stuff. Decon pens look like med pens, so sometimes I just won't even take those. I don't need these, but in general, like I said, I would just take all of that. And then these guns, I'm just kind of piling there, getting them all out of the way. So you just take the crate to the pile and start dragging them in. Oh, so one thing I forgot is that we'll call this tier 1 of this mission, 25k. We might have dealt with the last wave of enemies because it's the multiple heavies. On tier 2, I think there's an extra wave of heavies. We're gonna go check the rest of the bunker, of course. We're gonna run all these data pads before we do that though, because I don't want them to despawn. I feel like I've been taking this slow, trying to cover all the bases. We've already taken some extra time. So there's another box of Hadanite. So if we didn't need anything else out of this, we could cancel retrieval. We'll do that after we get the Aphorite. but you can just cancel retrieval and move to the next data pad so you're not wasting any time. You don't have to. The things you leave behind, like agricium, gold, titanium, quartz, stuff you don't want, it will stay in the bunker. So it's kind of it's just a nice like housekeeping thing to not spawn. It's not spawning anything you don't need. So here's agricium, like I said, that kind of box, doesn't matter what it is, we don't need it. I'm gonna poke around up here a little bit more. One thing too, so that I know that I've looted these guys, I will leave their guns next to them or their helmet, whatever I loot, just so I don't have to remember it. And then I'll come through with the crate and start looting up. So we have another body up there. This looks like the upper floor is probably, oh, it was some good shooting. So sometimes that's another thing. Like I said, I thought all of the waves were done. Realistically, wait, you have to use batteries now? There's no way. When did they change that? There's no way they added batteries into the fucking game. Can shadow drop batteries? There's no way you're ruining my run here. There's no shot. Oh, please tell me there's a... So here's a general loot crate, tractor beam, knife, orbit, mining attachment. Of course, there's not another multi-tool in there. So sometimes I think that's what happens, is that a spawn gets stuck in the elevator essentially, or they just don't leave the elevator. That's why you get some freedom to roam. So here's a red container, Grey Cat edition. This will usually be stuff that you can't find anywhere else. Man, I'm about to hand carry all this stuff to my ship. It's too juicy. Yeah, so you can hand carry this. So we'll take the aphorite out, drop that right there. So like I said, we're gonna cancel retrieval because we don't want that gold. Don't worry, I'll figure out they've had batteries in the game, and I knew that they were gonna be a thing for the max lift, but they haven't actually been used as ammo. And so for them to just quietly drop that, I will hand carry all this stuff out to my ship just for you guys to show. But apparently to grab batteries for your tractor beam, your multi-tool, seems crazy. Hopefully, I mean, if we got really lucky, there'd be some in here. But I would say typically you don't get more than one general loot crate. And I think they stick open like that when they've actually been looted, but usually too they despawn, so I wasn't sure. Oh, maybe that was just a glitch. Because it says no battery on it, so I got... Okay. Well, I'm gonna conserve this. I'm not gonna overuse it because now I'm sketched out. Alright, let's continue. I am gonna bring... Let's see, that's bugging a little bit. Oh boy. The server might... I'm not checking server stats right now, but... Okay, so holstering, unholstering, just what you gotta do a couple times. You know, I said that the bodies despawn, but I feel like this has kind of made a liar out of me. We haven't really had that. They'll funnel into this, so that's a guard. Picking them up out of it is probably the easiest. There's always some guns in there. I'm not going to pick up those SMGs just because I don't think they're worth it. So he had a data pad as well. P4AR. This CBH3 helmet, not worth anything. Don't ever worry about looting those. Typically, I think heavy helmets are what you would want to loot. All right, so here's our aphorite. Like I said, we can cancel that retrieval. We don't need the gold. We don't need the tungsten. Aphorite. Gold, tungsten, aphorite. So this is one where we're not going to cancel it because we have to wait till the end to get our second box of aphorite. And this is already showing how common aphorite is. Like Dolivine is worth the least, about 3,000 less a box than aphorite, but there's more aphorite here than anything. Think that is the up top cleared. Got all the guards, got the guns in lootable position. That's a P4, so I'm gonna put this with the other guns real quick. What I typically do is I get these things in a general area for my crate, and then I come through and then go downstairs as well. That P4 would have been on the way, basically. So you bring the crate over, we have our LMG and our helmet that we looted, just drag them in. It's that simple. The crate can act like a barrier if there are enemies around, but I wouldn't count on it for cover. And I think because the way this opens up and things move, I think having your items to the left, because you can't grab them through those screens, having them to the left helps being able to loot them. It's like like this gun's to the right, I guess it's all right. And you can loot things from a distance. If it highlights and you can click on it, it's within range for you. It's just as easy as clicking and dragging. Very exciting gameplay. So glad that my tractor beam started working again. That was scary. And it would have made all of this very slow. So that is why you bring a tractor beam with you, because you have to hand carry all those boxes. Like I've said, it'll be the most used item in the game. And see, already this is just from upstairs. We might have more enemies to fight downstairs. There's definitely going to be more loot down there. If there's a special armor I'm interested in, I'll bring it. I don't know if I'll use this or not, but typically these are colorways that you can't buy, or it's armor that you can't often buy. So I take it regardless. Just throw it in my inventory. Maybe I'll put it on one day. So I'm going to set this here in preparation to go downstairs, but real quick I'm going to keep... This is kind of stacking up, so I'll usually move these, start to move these there. Sometimes I'll send them all the way over there in prep to get them on the elevator, start loading them onto the ship. Usually doing this, like standing in one spot, using your mouse wheel. If you have a free scroll wheel like my Logitech G502, it's very useful. Even though at these close ranges I don't really free scroll a lot, but at distance I will. I'm actually surprised none of these bodies have despawned. How many data pads do we have left? I think we just have one on us. You can go over guardrails like that. If it turns red, it's about to drop, but you can just drop it. When you're using the tractor beam, you'll find you start to walk slower. That's just because it has read that input as like your walking speed. So once you're not using the tractor beam, just hit that back up and you'll start walking at normal speeds again. I'll toss that there, and before I go down, make sure you have a weapon out. In some bunkers, there will be an elevator right there. Sometimes there's an elevator over there too, spawn elevator. See, our crate is about half full, so we have some room. We could pick up some helmets if we wanted to. This spawn elevator real quick. Nobody tucked away. Sometimes red crates will spawn in that area around here. This isn't... I just realized this... So it's one elevator. There's probably usually at least that much in this area. So another very lootable area is going to be... You can kind of see the door there. Is this another... There's usually an elevator there too. I saw earlier there is a body right here. Alright, so there's a... so this is a heavy. So he's got that Baylor helmet and an LMG. So again, you can see my backpack already at 82%. The shotgun and LMG ammo takes up a lot of space. So if you can, it's worth it to equip it so you have some extra room in your backpack. And again, you always want to have ammo equipped. So we'll drag those. Like I said, we have some room in the crate, so we'll pick up these heavy helmets for sure. Once you hit heavies, you are at the end of the waves from everything I've ever been able to see. So we might just be done. Sometimes there's not an elevator there, but in this bunker there is. LMGs are worth 2K just about everywhere, so you should definitely pick those up. Basically, SMGs are the only thing that aren't worth a lot. See, like this, you can't drag from this side, so that's why your positioning can be a bit tricky to loot. Okay, so sometimes there's a spawn elevator there, and then there's not usually anybody stuck back here, but it doesn't hurt to check. Sometimes there are crates in these little alcoves, or like here, there's the bodies. And I won't usually, since this is a kind of a tighter fit, I don't usually bother, and there's not a lot to loot back here. I don't bother bringing the crate all the way back there. Personal preference. The less I have to navigate the crate around, the better. These guys could have data pads on them. It turns out that they did not, though. Also, when you're tractor beaming, things carry some momentum, so you can... And yeah, that looks like that heavy wave was the last wave. Like I said, for the 25K, you get those 3 or 4 heavies that spawn. That's the end. In the 40K, you would get another wave of those. And so that's, I guess, everything down here. Was there really not another data pad? Kind of disappointed. I'm greedy, I guess. How much Hadanite do we already have? And I still have a data pad on me that I don't know the contents of. I'm taking my sweet time with this mission, but as you can tell, you could also, you know, if you... Oh, here's a health loot container. This is usually what's in here. It's not usually pens or anything, but it's usually 1 or 2 paramed devices and then big stack of refills. And then there's a medical attachment for the multi-tool, which I don't believe I've ever used. I might have tried to use it once. The med gun itself is useful, besides the glitch where it made this terrible noise. Pistol ammo, and like I said, I'm not going to do it just to save myself the hassle, but since we have room in the crate, I would usually take these Defiance helmets. They're almost worth $1,000. You know, if you're really you really want to squeeze the most out of your looting, which you should if you're trying to maximize your money and your efforts. It's definitely worth it. I don't trust anything, so I was ready to shoot there. And then Aphorite's the last thing. I'm gonna go ahead and, well, as you can see, I could use some water. I should have brought a water. We're down to 36%. But we should be all right, because we're about to start loading up the ship. I have heard things can despawn once you leave. So when I say start to load up the ship, I mean start to take everything to the elevator, because Like if I went up to the ship right now, came back down, the mission thing could despawn, confidential materials, other stuff could my data pads, I think, definitely despawn. You don't want to go all the way up the elevator until you take it, you're taking everything up with you. All right, so we have everything in that, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this to the elevator. It doesn't take long for things to come up that little materials elevator, but I do try to do stuff in between just to keep it moving. So 73% full, that's with only grabbing a couple helmets. Just because I don't fully trust Star Citizen, I'll leave the box there. Also, if somebody did come here and they raised the elevator up, they would just have all of my stuff for the taking on the elevator, so make it a little bit more difficult. If you did go back to that and the elevator was up, that would mean somebody was here. I've never had it go up for any other reason. I'm pretty excited about how lucrative this seems like it was. So I'll go from here, kick the boxes over there. That's that free scroll at work. Again, be patient. So if you do have a free scroll mouse, I think it's a little bit harder to notice if you're scrolling bit by bit, but as soon as you scroll in the opposite direction, the tractor beam stops moving in the previous direction. Say I'm scrolling towards me, as soon as I scroll up, it stops. So that's an important tractor beam skill to understand. So these I'm just thrown over here so I can move them to the elevator. Like I said, this part of this mission really comes down to getting comfortable with the tractor beam, and that's just kind of practice, or you're just naturally good at it like I am. The tractor beam is one of the most impressive things in Star Citizen to me. Look how well this works. And I rarely hear complaints about it. Like, oh, my tractor beam was bugged. As you can see earlier, like it was bugged a little bit, but not in the use of and the movement of. I'll say Aphrodite's the next thing, so then I'll just cancel after that. And I tend to put my data pads either in core armor or leg armor. Core armor will hold a few more, but I do that so that that's quick to look, and while I'm looting everything else into my backpack, I don't have to go scrolling through my backpack. Oh, is there a data pad? Is there a data pad? Do I have another data pad in here? If you have one in your hand and you do like auto put it away, it'll go to your backpack. If you put one away via hotkey or whatever, keybind, and you're looking for it because you forgot the code or whatever, it's in your backpack. See if we can cancel this before it gets here. Yeah, cancel retrieval. And then this is the back button if you want to quickly get back to the keypad and not wait for the machine or the terminal. And, oh wait, that's it. So that's all we have left to do is... So I guess our one wave of heavies was, our last wave of heavies was like 6 because we had a couple in that elevator. Again, just, this is kind of in this specific layout, from the materials terminal across to here, and then this point up to straight shot to the elevator. And I think being stationary and moving these little boxes like this is just easiest. No running around. Like I said, if I'm waiting for the materials elevator, sometimes I'll run these boxes around a little bit more while waiting for that, letting stuff come up. And sometimes I'll check before I start moving, just out of curiosity to see if all my boxes make it. But I didn't check that this time. We'll go ahead and take a count real quick, just to make sure all of our boxes make it to the station. So we'll put Aphrodite right there. There's our Hadnite. We got at least 2 of those, or did we get 3? I think it's at least 2. Nope, 3. Nice. Or was it 2? I'm losing my mind. Just the 2. All right, like I said, getting greedy. And getting thirsty, both in-game and IRL. So there you see 90% health with a single tier 3 arm injury. Was likely just part of fighting the enemies, because we got that after we put the heavy's arm armor on. Now you're gonna load this up. Ooh, that's scary. I don't like the elevator moving like that. I'll put the 1 SKU crate on that side and put along with the confidential materials, whether it's 1 or 2, on that side, and I'll load everything up onto this other side. It's sketching me out. Like I said, there's no back to, so be careful putting these valuable gems onto the elevator. Usually just like set them down, make sure there's no momentum or anything. The yellow barriers on the side seem to work perfectly fine, but I don't think I've ever lost one of these boxes on the elevator or to the elevator. Oh, I should have. I mean, they do that sometimes and it sketches me out, but I forgot to count over there. We could go back and count, but we should be able to count on the elevator. 1 Dolivine, 6 Aphorite, 2 Hadanite. Do the math. It's almost 200k right there. Oh, I forgot. I'm gonna have to go back and look. Forgot to check. I forgot to see if we're getting credit for call to arms. I was at 4,228,151, and go back and show this. And I'm at 4,241,151. That is a 13k difference, which means I killed 26 enemies-ish. So I do think you're still getting credit for call to arms. We haven't dropped off the materials. That wouldn't be enough for that anyway. So yeah, I do think that's still working. And I appreciate everybody in the comments mentioning that, because I agree. If you just read it, it's like, oh, enemies that are part of missions aren't going to give me this bonus anymore. But that's why you should just accept it. Because at worst, that's an extra, what does that say, 13k? 13k I made off of that. So it was 26 enemies. So then we learn the intro of this mission, 25k version. Is that what we're on? 25k? The 25k version of this mission has 26 enemies. That is something I've never tried to track before. So even I'm learning something making this video for you guys. All right, let's get out of here so I don't die of thirst. We'll do the math on the gems when we're somewhere safe. Ooh, I was like, this is moving really slow, and then it jumped. I will say this is the scariest bunker elevator ride I've had in a long time. Oh, I forgot there could be security forces outside. I'm glad I just remembered that. So the good thing is it's nighttime, so we'd be able to see them by their flashlights. When I've come out to enemies out here, they have been on the sides. You can use that moon gravity to get a peek. Oh, dang. Look at Crusader from here. That's a nice little shot right there. I just realized my wheel off the ground here makes this a little bit less. All right, so we've got no noise. So oh no. Ooh, do not do this to me. I see that elevator's still acting weird. I will say tractor beam being super weird right now. For any smaller ship, and definitely for the 100i, put in your big crate first and maybe drag it through the door, backwards through the door. Third try. Yeah, sometimes I just scroll it through. And I know I didn't see anybody, but they could still be out here. So just be aware. Bring this out, turn it a little bit. Oop. So remember, we have 2 SKU storage in the 100i. So push that all the way to the back, and then we'll go ahead and bring those. Next I put in gems. I usually end up putting the confidential materials on that little bench. I haven't really had any issues with this, so I won't bring these. These aren't snapping to this anymore. Well, that's interesting. It didn't glow, but it did snap. I'm gonna pick up the pace. We're getting thirsty. I have taken my time in explaining a lot of this, but we could have been out of here a long time ago. I think I will run the Hadanite, but then I'm going to just ship everything else. So I'll stack those up like that as much as I can in the origin, just so that some of the materials are locked, and then we're just gonna ship. So if you stand here and your ship is right in front of the bunker, that's it. There you go. So it's pretty easy. And again, I know things fall through planets sometimes. I have not had that issue. If it happened, I didn't miss the box. I didn't realize it was gone. Here we know we have 6 Aphorite, so if we don't end up with 6 Aphorite, we lost one somewhere. And obviously you don't want to do that. And just so I don't have to come back, I'm gonna go ahead and take this out and put it on the bench. But that looks like pretty good aim. Sadly, one of them went under the ship. You're gonna end up, especially in the 100i, you're gonna end up with some outside of that storage. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Like I said, I try to get, usually have room for 4 or so. So whatever I can actually get locked to the grid there. Then I usually get, like, those aren't locked there, but that's what you can fit in there. I don't worry about closing the door to the storage, close the door to the ship, and then we're going to deliver our confidential materials, get our payment for that. Benson mining outpost. Oh, so there's an enemy right there. So they won't necessarily aggro that hard. Oh, he has seen us though, and we are out of here. Unlike the defense site bunker missions, you never get a trespassing warning, so you get a lot more time to loot and take your time with this mission. Again, we're trying to, you know, make this efficient, and we're gonna have to get some level of distance away from them. It's either 5 or 10. away from a moon surface. It's 4,000 meters up. Schmidt quantum. And while we're on our way, I'll check. So we're at 4,241,151. Make a note of that. So again, if it's 2 confidential materials, they both go to the same spot, and that's 40K. Arguably not a lot more work than this. I think it's, like I said, it's 1 more wave of enemies. And I started getting those fairly quick. Like, I don't pay close attention to rep at all, but it did not seem like it was that long. I have been, I believe that's junior level, and I feel like I have been on that for a long time. After I made 3 million and bought a vulture, I still do these from time to time, just because I kind of enjoy the loop. You know, I did start doing things like salvage, started renting ships, trying out cargo. Like I said, this is an easy way to allow yourself to try out those other gameplay loops and other ships, whether it be renting or buying. It'd be kind of hilarious if I blew up right now. I can't remember the last time I crashed into a planet. Well, we'll see if I'm right. So most mining outposts are armistice zones. So you actually have to, I usually try to find the actual door. But since it's an armistice zone, you can't use a tractor beam, which is inconvenient. So you actually have to hand deliver. So I try to park nice and close. Go ahead and open the door first. Take my tractor beam out. Oh, maybe they changed it. That would be unfortunate. Oh, now I can't. Wasn't letting me holster my. There we go. I'm gonna hand carry it anyway. So then this has an airlock on it because we're on a moon. Come in, cycle that. If you do delivery missions, this is what a delivery mission looks like. You drop off at one of these little things, and it'll automatically accept it. Mission complete. Check our money. 25K deposited. All right, let's go get a drink. When you come back out, you just cycle it the same way again. F key. It's really dark in here, so if you want, you can turn on your flashlight with T by default. Why does it look like this? Is there a dust storm? Map, we're going back. You go back to whatever space station you're nearest to. For me, that's Seraphim. Take off. Landing gear up. Just follow your jump points. So since I have a hunger and thirst stat, but more importantly, since I have an injury, instead of worrying about like eating or drinking for those stats, we're just gonna go straight to medical. Ours is on the left. Interesting that they're both open. I run into that a lot, to be honest. Having having somebody land right next to you, to be honest, I don't know if that's ever happened to me in a lot of hours. I'm making sure that's my hangar because, and it might not be a day ruiner, but if we go into somebody else's hangar, we could just despawn entirely, which either puts all of our stuff into station or we would lose it all. What I actually want to do here, you want to face your door towards the freight elevator. This goes for any cargo, but especially in a smaller ship like this, I'll make sure I get real close. I do try to just leave it on the ship pad though, so I don't have to move it again. Take that to 0, and then we can turn the ship off. Before I get out of the seat though, I'll do our landing. Needs little repairs. Go ahead and refill it just so you don't have to worry about thinking about that when you call the ship back. So they're 265. Important to note, we just spent some money on repairs. I'm gonna write that down so I don't have to do all the math after the fact. Call to arms was 13,000. Mission 25. 6 aft, 1 dolphin, and 2 hadonite. The only unknown here is what we're gonna make off of our 70% full crater guns. We're at 13%. I'll unload all this stuff. Like I said earlier, when you send stuff down the freight elevator, it can take a minute for it to actually show up in your inventory. I just get all this stuff off the ship real quick. I don't think I've done this since the 100i has been buggy. And I think that is what's causing this not great visual quality. So again, we pull that out. Wow. Really making it look like I know what I'm doing today. Or they've somehow made that easier, but I don't think so. Did everything make it? Should be 6, 8, 9. So as soon as you click off on an item on the freight elevator, it locks in place. So you don't have to worry about it flying away from you or sliding all over the place. As soon as you click off, it'll lock. Oh, caught it, because I am cargo master. And then I believe if something for some reason isn't attached to the cargo elevator, it will give you an alert on the screen. So there's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 aphrite, 2 hatonite, and dolivine. We'll send that down. We're gonna deposit the crate in the storage ourselves. Like I said, that's just easier, and that will guarantee that it is in there immediately. No waiting for it to show up because of the freight elevator. And then when we look at containers real quick, that's the blue one. It said, like I said earlier, it says 0 when you click into this menu. Or never mind. It did show up appropriately. But that if you click this little icon for one crate and then click it for another, they'll stack. So it's kind of weird. So just exit out of that and it'll show the one. So it's showing accurately, which is nice. See if we have the 100i on there, right? Yep, see? Just enough on the landing pad. All right, let's go to medical and heal up. So right now, right about an hour and a half, I would chalk most of that up to me making sure I'm covering all the info. You can definitely run the mission in an hour. I mean, obviously you can run the mission in an hour if you just did that, but even with looting, and it can depend on how many gem crates you get. You might push an hour a little bit, but then, you know, also you're making more money, so then your hourly could still be. Honestly, if I'm on a station and I have a backpack on, I'll just store these to help clean up and then just put them in my. I don't even always bother selling them, but they are worth 45 a piece at one of the clothing stores. Fellow citizen, special delivery for room 5. There's almost always stuff in here. All right, so as you can see, 9% water, 39% food, tier 3 armandry. Good to show you how to fix that here. So this comes up. We're gonna go to medical care, hold F to interact / look, monitor arm injury. That's all just kind of for show. We go to treatment and then treat major or treat minor left arm injury. That multi-selected. So if you had like a left arm injury or a leg injury, those will all be separate things. You would select those and then it would say perform treatments. And as you can see, that maxed our health out, got rid of our injury, filled up our food and water stats. All right, now the fun part. If you want to see, before you go to Galleria, if you want to see if things have shown up, if those gem boxes have shown up, those will be under containers. So here we can see they haven't spawned yet. So you won't be able to sell them yet until those have registered and spawned in. It can take a minute for those to show up. We're gonna go sell guns now. So probably by the time we're done doing that, they will show up in the inventory. Fingers crossed. The gun shop is on Galleria. You know what? I always sell guns at the armor store, but now I'm like, what if we sell them at the gun store? I don't imagine they give you any different prices for those. Also, I don't think there is always a live fire. So here is where having the box also comes in useful, because you have your source, which is the station you're on, sub-source. This is a little confusing because we have a bunch of medical gowns. So it'll show all the different armor, clothing, whatever can hold something. And also gets confusing because you likely have multiple storage containers. We'll see if it's the first one. It was not, or maybe it was. There's all the guns that were in there. That doesn't seem like a lot. It probably will be. Just to show you that the prices, whether it's live fire or you sell at the armory, those are going to be the same. Prices are more likely by location than by the shop you're selling them at. If we go armor, sell, sub option, that's same storage crate. That's the exact same at least. Oh, but see, the bonus of selling it at the armor shop is that all of the armor that you've looted, so if you've looted helmets, other stuff you want to sell, that will be here too. And you're getting the same prices on the guns. We can see your money right there. So if you have multiple crates at the station, those will all show up, but I don't know if your most recently deposited crate will show up at the top like this did. But you just have to check around, and it makes it easier to sell everything that you had just looted. Keeps it separate from your other loot, so you're not maybe accidentally selling something you'd rather keep. But here you can see these Baylor helmets, 1.5k at Seraphim. I think I have my handy list. Yeah. The FS9, the BR2 shotgun, those prices you can get at multiple stations. You can definitely get them at Seraphim. The P4 sells for almost double. It sells for 2.5k at Everest. So if you want to save up a crate of those and sell them there, I've done that before. It got me like 130k for a full crate of them. You know, you just have a crate of P4s at your station of choice. For this purpose, for the purposes of this, I'm gonna just sell everything here to give you a decent idea of what you can make. As far as I know, 1.5K for the Baylor helmet's also standard. But I think the G2, the Morningstar, and the Defiance helmet that I talked about, those all sell for around 1. For other things, in some stackable items, if you go to sell, you can actually stack what you're selling. But sadly for guns and armor, that does not work. You start selling, and it's just this. To lean into the time aspect, I'll hit quick sell. And actually, I quick sell from this spot because it's closer to the OK. Other thing about special edition armors, a lot of the times they're not worth anything. So it's better to just keep them so you have a cool rare thing to wear if you want. Their stats aren't any worse or anything like that, but they're just only worth 1. So usually if there's some kind of glitch, for whatever reason, it happened to me with Uberev pistols a lot. It'll say failed, transaction failed. You won't lose the item or anything. But those pistols in particular did not sell. Pistols don't net you a whole lot anyway. I don't even know if any of them sell for $1,000. 700 is probably a lot for a pistol. So yeah, like if we go into P4, sadly, I guess you would also be selling the ammo for this if you did it that way. I think sometimes it sells the gun. If quick sell might sell the gun and not the attachments, but they're not worth that much more in that last helmet. All right, let's get out your calculators. Although I can already tell it's almost 60,000. 323,259 minus 4,265. I want to give you guys the exact count. 57,435. So again, if that 30% more worth of guns in the crate, like I said, that was only 70% full. Could have got some more helmets. I would say easily 60K without even a full crate. Like 3 more helmets puts us at 60K basically. So we can also you can check your backpack if any of this stuff you want to sell. Like I said, this is a lot of this smaller loot. I usually just deposit. Like you're picking up ammo for guns that you probably can't even buy, maybe attachments and stuff. And my game crashed. Thank God it waited. I have had intermittent crashing recently. Never anything that I can reproduce. And I did clear out my shaders folder, and it seemed to fix things. I think we had any hot fixes or anything. Looking at inventory. I do always fill out the crash report. Looking at inventory in Seraphim Armor Shop. So crashes at station or major cities I have no issues with. In a crash like this, it might even put us right back to where we were. Verified, thanks for your submission. You're welcome. You do get a little confirmation if you crash like this and you give a report. Okay, so as is at Seraphim Station. See if it puts us right back in the same spot. That's been happening a lot with these kind of crashes. So I'd say 2 hours. So don't waste any time running these missions. Get in, get out. That's always the suggestion. And there we are. Right back in the armor shop. So I'm doing a double check, make sure all of our sales counted there. All of our sales went through, nothing rolled back. I don't know why there's not a storage terminal right near the armor shop. One location I disagree with it not being. And I thought they had them over here, and now they don't. It might just be a different space station. All right, there are some upstairs, which is where we're going anyway. This is at Seraphim, but every station has an admin office. That's where we're gonna sell those gems. You can just log into that and see if they're there. I think it's easier to check storage and to see they've all now appeared. Somebody left us some berries. What are these? I'm saving these for later. These look very festive. You guys see something that's easy to ignore. I see 5 things that don't need to be spawned in to the station. This is the commodity shop at admin. Select location, Seraphim Station, or whatever station you're at. If you load it in the cargo elevator, you can sell from your ship too. Everything's here. Aphrite, Dolvine Hadanite, 6 units. I think these are all going to be even numbers. Or wait, no. Sell 1 is 19. I kind of don't like that you can't see the exact price of what you're selling. Aphrite is worth 19,062, except at Point Tressler it's worth less. So again, we said not to do this on Microtech anyway. But if you have a bug like I had where you can't sell at your home station, you can't sell these at TDD anyway, but I wasn't able to sell at Seraphim, which was my home station at the time. I considered it. So I had to take it to another one. Don't take this to Tressler. I think everything else sells the same everywhere. but don't take your Aphorite to Tressler. So Aphorite is 19,062, Dolivine is 16,250, and Hadnite is 34,375. We'll see if this maths out. 19,062 times 5? No, 6. So Aphorite should be 114,372. Dolivine single should be 16,250. And 2 Hadnite should be 68,750. I'm gonna check my actual money to see if that is exact. 259. All right, real deep dive here, guys. So Aphorite 6 units, 114.3. Sell, confirm, accept. Dolivine 16.25. Sell, confirm, success. And then Hadnite 68.75. Oh, so here it would show the full price. All right, so confirm. It doesn't always update your money right away right there. 4522631. So gems alone should have been 199,372. We'll call it 200K. So yeah, that is exactly what we got out of that. So in my little gear, what was this? Was that heavy bad guy wearing Crusader armor? Just noticed that. But call to arms, which did work. Confirmed. There's no other reason I should have been making that money. 13,000 plus 25,000 for the mission. Tier 1 version, 1 box of confidential materials. Plus 57,435 credits worth of guns and helmets. Plus 114,372 credits worth of Aphorite, 16,250 credits worth of Dolivine, and 68,750 credits worth of Hadnite equals 294,807 credits. As in Euro makes no difference, 300,000 credits in an hour and a half. Wow, I'm complete honesty, this was my first try. I knew I was gonna make this video. We did crash. We had to crash once. And we had some bugs. Let me know down below if you still have any questions or if you'd like to see more guides like this. Be sure to check out my other Star Citizen videos. As you can tell, it's Christmas or soon to be Luminalia season on Star Citizen. If you'd like to join me for a Star Citizen stream on the 22nd of December, be sure to follow me on Twitch and look out for a live stream on YouTube. I'm gonna see if I can bring it to you guys too. Not gonna try to force you to go somewhere you're not already. But I'm live streaming Star Citizen and other survival crafting games and fun events right now over on twitch.tv/theyngprince. So please do consider joining us sometime. And lastly, big shout out to the entire community for your response on my last video. It really means a lot. It's been very encouraging, and it's part of why the Star Citizen community is one of my favorite in gaming. So thank you so much. So keep your space stations clean, and I'll see you on the next one.